Hello, future van home. How are you doing today? Been chillin'? Slept well in here last night? All cozy and snug? Welcome back for week 5 of our first ever Sprinter van conversion with us, Mr. and Mrs. Adventure. Last week we left Drew on the roof, finishing up the installation of our 300-watt solar panels, and this week we're hooking everything up, building our first interior wall, and sending Drew back up on that roof to build the rooftop patio and yoga deck that we've been dreaming of for years. Have I mentioned how much I love this guy? Yep, he's a keeper.
Holy stuff! That looks amazing!
Wow. This van is definitely being made with love. Now, let the action begin. Starting with laying the groundwork for our layout, which we needed to do before being able to construct walls for the power hub that will house all of our electronics, including the solar that Drew set up last week. Here will be our couch. Here will be part of our kitchen with the oven. Over here will be the other half of our kitchen with the sink and our pull-out refrigerator. And then we're also going to have a little kickstand countertop extender over here where this is. That looks amazing. This is like our first interior wall, almost. I mean, it's cardboard, but pretty soon we're gonna have part of our closet there.
We're urgently doing this task because I need to be able to hook up all the power for the solar, because we cannot drive outside without power going into the solar, and it could burn out the solar panels.
And these are our solar wires, and soon we'll have our hub right about here. Look at that wall that he put up. You did such a good job, babe.
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, you worked hard to get that to align perfectly. Seamless seam. Next, it was time for wall number 2. For our interior walls, we're using 1/2-inch ply. Is this birch?
I don't know what this is. It was leftover reclaimed workshop wood.
That's what we like. With our tiny closet and our tiny home complete, Drew was now able to set up the space for our power hub, also known as our Freedom Vessel Control Center. And thanks to a win on eBay earlier that week, we were also able to create the space for our power inverter.
So I just picked up a couple packages today. I'm really stoked about what came. They were big, heavy boxes. This thing weighed 65 pounds. This is our Pearson 2000-watt inverter charger by Renogy. It's going to power our hot water heater and our blender. Can't wait to get this thing rocking.
All amped up on power, Drew took his muscles onto the roof for one more project in the rafters.
Welcome to the roof. The solar panels are done. Now I'm making a roof deck. We're going to have a 5x5 platform on the roof using Trex recycled plastic wood that doesn't fade, sitting on top of aluminum L brackets, just like this one. And right now what I'm trying to do is get the bars of the aluminum not touching the roof when we put pressure on the roof deck. That's super important because I don't want it to start jiggling on top of the paint on the roof and creating rust over time. I have a 3.5-inch 5/8 bolt. I preloaded them already with a 1-inch washer, a 1.5-inch washer, a lead pipe that I cut and I spray painted for making it rust proof, followed by 2 washers right here that the aluminum bar will sit between, and then a bolt on the very top of it.
Drew used the same guide from Van Kooks that helped him build our DIY solar panel rack in last week's episode. And so, with his bolts, screws, and decking on deck, Drew was ready to get down to business.
I put the non-locking nut underneath, followed by a washer, the aluminum L bracket, and then a nylon locking washer on the very top of the bracket. And as you can see, there's plenty of space, plenty of clearance, even when I press really hard. Obviously the weight will be distributed throughout this entire area back here, but still don't want to take any chances of it just chipping away the paint. The first boards are laid, the framework is in place. It's gonna be so cool to chill up here, watch the waves, the sunset, all the scenes we're gonna see.
After 5 hours of doing a stellar job on this project, Drew is almost ready to come home and rest, especially being that he didn't finish until 2:30 in the morning.
Well, I'm hanging out here with these air ducts above my head, but I'm so happy that the roof deck is complete. Dang! I have 10 boards that are about 5.5 inches wide, spanning across the entire deck, so there's plenty of room for a few people to chill up here. Brittany's gonna be pumped when she sees this. She's gonna be ready for some yoga.
He knows me so well, because while life on the ground can be pretty sweet, there's something about being able to enjoy it all from up high that just shifts your perspective and inspires you to be so grateful for where you are. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to. Well, that and the rooftop yoga, of course. And speaking of views, after 5 weeks of being cooped up in our workshop, we were both in serious need of a change in scenery. So, when our friends from college, Miro, who leads trips with his company, Carpe Mundo, one of which we had the opportunity to co-lead when we were in Croatia with our van 3 years ago, and Justin, who guides mainly French tourists on expeditions to the polar regions, invited us on a 3-day kayaking adventure through the Everglades that's all being filmed for a Canadian television series called Guide d'Aventure. You already know, we just couldn't resist.
So nice to be camping again. I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
And then, one of the most magical moments happened.
Wow! Hi! That was unreal. You see how high they just jumped? Wow. I think they were looking up above the water line to see who was there. It was me.
Now that is worth a slow motion replay. Can you believe it? After 3 days, 2 nights, and over 24 miles of paddling, our first trip to the Everglades is one we'll never forget. That's all for now, folks. Join us again next week when we return to the workshop to take on the next stage in our van build adventure, and I finally get to see the amazing rooftop deck that Drew built. Maybe we'll even do a little rooftop Christmas celebration. And if you haven't already, we invite you to subscribe so you can join us for our weekly van build episodes. We're so stoked to be sharing this unpredictable journey with you. Until next time, remember to make the most of this life and follow us on Instagram at Mr. and Mrs. Adventure. See you next week.